Okay, let's talk about growing up with the fear of God or with the love of God because both are very much impactful in how you view religion. And honestly, as a person that grew up with the fear of God, I constantly just was afraid of God. I really just did not think that He even wanted me. I literally thought my existence was an entire mistake. And upon further insight, God doesn't make mistakes. There's a reason and a purpose for every single thing that's in life. Okay, so growing up with the fear of God, you get so used to this idea that God is just this very mean person that is set to hate you, that is out and set to just make you miserable. And so usually parents, they would use the fear of God to discipline their children and to try to reconcile their children. But when you grow up from that, you start resenting God because you just never understood Him. You never saw Him as a person that genuinely wanted to help you, or that you saw Him as a person that genuinely wanted the best for you. So when you grow up with the fear of God, you get so used to the notion that God doesn't want me, God doesn't love me, God doesn't want to be anywhere near me, right? And that's the farthest thing from the truth. And it took me years to actually finally understand that. It took me years to stop running away from God and just to come back and see. So growing up with the love of God helps you to understand that God is not all evil, okay? That God is the one that created good in the world. Yes, He also created evil in the world as well, but to everything there must be a balance. So growing up with the love of God is where you actually take the time to learn God, because if you don't know who God is, you don't know what He does, all the things that He does, you don't see the goodness that is in your life because of Him. You don't allow yourself to really believe that God is all for you and not all against you as you normally would if you had the fear of God instilled into you as a child. So having the love of God, developing this type of love for God, honestly, it starts with you understanding and knowing Him first. It's not you learning just about the religion, it's about learning God, who God is Himself. It's about reading, if you're Muslim, I suggest you read the Hadith Qudsi. I'm going to put it up here somewhere. And that honestly helped me a lot because it's one of those few moments where God actually speaks from the first person, because mostly in the Quran or any hadith books, God usually refers to Himself in the third person, as in like the royal He, in that type of third person. But when you read Hadith Qudsi, it's just 40 hadiths, and they're all authenticated, obviously, and it is all just God speaking from first person. So in a sense, it also feels like God is speaking to you when you read Hadith Qudsi. And it's in those hadiths that when I started reading them, I started feeling more of a connection with God, because that opened up just my eyes, because I didn't understand who He was. So you cannot judge someone exactly when you don't understand who they are. So when you start beginning to understand who God is, it's so much easier for you to start loving Him. And that's how you get rid of the fear. That is how the fear begins to leave your body, because you start realizing that there are a lot more lies surrounding God than there is truth, especially if you grew up with the fear of God. And what we don't understand is that everything that we do in this life is going to influence our hereafter. But we also have God in this life. God doesn't just exist in the next life over. God exists right now. And one thing that I learned is that God is helping you, is guiding you along the way in this life. You're not completely abandoned. You're not just gonna randomly meet Him in the next life. No, you have already met Him here. He is ever present. He's always around you. He's always with you along with your angels. They're always with you no matter what. So it's more so about leaning into your heart. It's more so about leaning into your intuition and letting God's miracles and signs find you, because every single person will always have a very special connection with God. So no one can really grasp or understand the relationship with God. So when I share certain aspects about my relationship with God, you might not understand it, or you might just call it probably like something haram. Maybe you might call it something else. What we don't understand is there's just certain things that God puts between Him and his own servant that other people will not understand. Therefore, everyone's journey to God is their own journey. And of course, we can help people along the way, yes, but ultimately it is their own journey, and they're going to have to figure it out by actively pursuing God. And the easiest way, as I said, is to learn who He is. I recommend Hadith Qudsi. I literally got the book for I think $8 on Amazon or something. So you start instilling the love of God into your life when you finally learn who He is, because you realize that He's actually a lot more kinder than you think. I think it's in Hadith Qudsi where this Hadith says, He wrote the only rule that God has for Himself on the Day of Judgment, even right now. He said that my mercy will always overpower my anger. And when I heard that, at first I almost cried, because it's like no matter what you do, no matter how crazy you go, no matter how far away you go, no matter what, you can always come back, because His mercy will always override His anger. And another beautiful thing I learned, that I think it's a hadith, I'm pretty sure it's authentic, where on the Day of Judgment, this guy would be sentenced to hell, right? And as he's being dragged to hell by the angels, of course, or chains, or whichever one, I'm not sure of the proper translation here. When he is being dragged to hell, he will call out to God. He said, I thought you were a lot more merciful than this, as he's getting dragged to hell. And then God will say, stop. Because he called me, because he called upon my mercy, let him enter heaven. And then he gets he gets cleaned, and then he enters heaven eventually after that interaction. And it was those specific words that God said, where He says, because He called me by my name, because He called me by my mercy, addressing my mercy, let him go. And that, it was in that moment that I realized that no matter what, hell is very hard to get into. Okay, hell, you have to try really, really hard to get into hell, because God is finding every single reason to get you into heaven. Okay, and there's also another hadith. I'm not sure if you want to say, if any of you know what hadiths I'm speaking about, please drop them down in the comments below. Another one is, there was this guy, again, I'm pretty sure it's a hadith, that he was asleep. Okay, he was asleep. It was late at night, and then he rolled over or something, but out loud he said, La ilaha illallah, which means there is no God but Allah. And it was in that moment, that minute, that out of all of his good deeds, it was that La ilaha illallah, while he was like half asleep, as he was just switching over to the other side, that caused him to go to heaven. That was the reason that he's going to enter heaven, because of just saying La ilaha illallah when he was just half asleep. And it was in that moment I realized that God will literally try to find every single excuse to get you into heaven. So again, as I said before, you start loving God and you stop fearing God when you truly understand who God is. Yes, He is that person that demands justice, that commands justice, that rights wrongs and does all those things. Yes, but He's also the loving kind. Okay, I want to leave you with this hadith where it was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he asked one of the Sahabas, his companions, look at that child over there that's suckling his baby. Do you think that mother will ever throw that child into the fire willingly? And they said, no, never. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he then go ahead and say, that child, that love between that mother and child is only, I think, 1% of the love that God has for His servants, for you, okay? And He reserved 99% of His love and His mercy for Himself. There's only 1% of love here. And just look at all the amazing and beautiful love stories that is on this earth. That's just 1%. So imagine the other 99% that God has with Himself. Don't fear God. You're fearing what you do not know. You're fearing what people have fed you. Don't listen to what they spoon fed you. Actually take the time to learn about God yourself. And as I said, start with Hadith Qudsi, because that is where you're going to find your heart will connect with God the most, because He is almost speaking directly to you. And if you enjoyed this, please do follow for more. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video.